get going. All right. So, everybody, thank you so much for being here this morning. It's cold morning, December morning. We're happy to have Taylor with us. Um, you have shown up today, in case you didn't know, for Cheers to Authentic Branding social media with Taylor Oldham. If you've ever wondered how to stand out in a sea of realtors online, you're not alone. But how do you do it in a way that isn't cookie cutter, feels true to who you are, and genuinely connects with your audience? Well, good news, it's exactly what we're here to dive into today with Taylor. She's not only an incredible agent, but also a social media powerhouse. She's built her brand around authenticity, using social media as a primary source of lead generation to grow her business in meaningful ways. Little fun fact about Taylor: she recently won the Triangle Reel Producers Award for Best Photo Shoot. It's no
Yeah.
surprise why. Her shoot was completely unique and authentic to her. And that's the magic that she brings to everything she does. So today, she's here to help you tap into that same energy and elevate your social media game. So, with that, let's give a warm Zoom wave and welcome to Taylor Oldham. Thank you for being here. I'm going to kick it over to you.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. Good morning. I hate public speaking, so yes, if I can see you, that's probably much better for me. But a little bit of background on like where I came from before getting into real estate. I got a degree in sport marketing and sport administration from UNC. And we're very excited that Bill Belichick is about to be our new football coach. But I started after college with the Carolina Hurricanes. I worked there for 5 seasons. And then I transitioned to a global sport marketing company where I was a part of their hospitality department. And basically, we took C-suite executives to all of these really cool events from the Final Four, Kentucky Derby, everything else in between, and basically planned from their flight, transportation to every dinner, party, things like that. We coordinated it all, which I've used all of my stuff from that to infuse into my real estate career. And during my time with the Hurricanes, I did ticket sales. I cold called 100 people a day for 9 months who had been to one hockey game in a 10-year playoff drought. And so they really didn't want to come to see a game. And they would tell you very bluntly on the phone. So when I got into real estate, I knew that cold calling wasn't for me. So I wanted to look for like a different outlet, for a different way to grow my business. So enter social media and branding. So let's see if it'll let me switch slides. There we go. First things first, if you are not following Choice Residential on Instagram, please take out your phone and scan, and this should take you directly to Choice's page. If you learn anything today, we would love for you to share that in your stories. Feel free to tag both myself. I'm at It's Taylor Oldham. I'll have a QR code for that down the road, and tag Choice Residential. When you're tagging people in your stories, that gives them the opportunity to reshare it, which gets more eyeballs on it. So ultimately, it's getting more people to come back to you. An overview of what we'll be doing: we'll go through a foundation of a strong brand, planning your content that aligns with that, using Instagram to highlight your brand, authentic branding and how you can incorporate that into your client experience, and then how to stay true to your brand. So the foundation of a strong brand, do any of you know what the foundation of a strong brand is, like especially with real estate in mind? Please be interactive with me.
Something that's memorable and
Mhm.
consistent
Yeah,
is one thing I'm trying to learn from you.
you've got all the right things, but the foundation to a strong brand in real estate is you. You are your brand. So why, like, are you the brand? It's because, like, in real estate, people want to work with who they can trust. So if you're showing up as you, then you're going to attract the right people. Keep in mind, like, we are all real estate agents. We all have the same documents. We all have relatively similar processes and steps. So the thing that truly separates you is who you are and what you bring to that client experience. So that's the differentiator here. So now we want to figure out, like, how can we showcase that and highlight that so that people are more gravitated and attracted to working with you. So now we're going to dive into, like, your brand. The first thing that I tell people is you don't need to share everything about yourself. You can just pick a few key things that make you relatable, that make people have that shared connection with you, to think about you outside of, oh, she can help me buy and sell real estate, or oh, he can help me buy and sell real estate. So, like, try and think about what are some factors or things that, like, make you who you are. So for me, and here's a little QR code if you want to follow me on Instagram, if you're not already, but some things that make me who I am. I am a dog mom. I am an avid coffee drinker. I am trying to do like half calf right now because I realized I was probably overdoing it. Um, I am a Target shopper. I'm probably there every single day. I will actually probably be leaving after this to go there. I love La Marca Prosecco. This is the photo that actually won that award for the Triangle Reel producers. I'm a reality TV enthusiast. I'm an aspiring DIYer. And most importantly, I am a real estate expert. So all of these things help make me relatable to a potential client. These are things that, honestly, most of them have nothing to do with real estate whatsoever, but they're things that I can infuse into what I'm doing every day, that in turn I can make it relatable to real estate. So what is next is, like, who is your ideal client? Who do you want to work with? For me, I want to attract people that are similar to me. I want to attract people that um, maybe they like going to Target. Maybe they like celebrating with a glass of Prosecco. They're open to meeting and talking about real estate over a cup of coffee. I want those people that are, like, moving up. I really like working with buy sell clients that are looking for their next home. So by niching down and trying to focus on, like, who I want to attract with my brand, I'm not eliminating everyone else. I'm just trying to focus on who my ideal person is. Because if I'm working with my ideal client, then it's going to make the process easier for me. It's letting me work with people that, like, I want to work with and that I'm relatable to. So honestly, it just makes the experience so much easier, so much better. I've worked with, like, some online leads, and honestly, you're trying to build the trust from the start, whereas I already have the trust going into the process. So it just makes it a whole lot easier. So I want you to take a couple seconds to sort of write down, like, what are some key things that make you relatable? And I don't want you to overthink it. Like, every morning I wake up, I fix a cup of coffee. There's tons of people that do, but honestly, there's tons of people that don't. Some people do tea, some people do lemon water. Some people, I don't know, maybe do a Diet Pepsi or something. But try and think of stuff that makes you relatable and that will cause people to think about you. Just to call out some agents, and I don't know if they're on here because I think I can only see like 4 of you right here. But, like, Brenna, she loves Chick-fil-A. So, like, when I think of Chick-fil-A, I automatically think of her. Ellie loves Poppy sodas. I don't, that is to each their own, but Ellie loves them. She shares them all the time. Like, I think of Ellie. When I think of Dancing with the Stars, I think of Heather Donovan. Top of mind, like, that's what I think about with her. Warren shares a pizza every time he closes. These are things that they're doing repetitively that have stuck in my head. So just, like, think about those things. Like, what are aspects in your life that you're doing that would like make it relatable. So I'm going to give you a couple of seconds just to sort of think through that, and then hopefully maybe somebody will share with me at the end. I should have added music to this, but I'm not going to sing for you, so we'll just let the countdown continue. All right. I know it was only a few seconds, but does anyone have anything that like they feel, one, they want to share, but two, like what could make up your brand and who your ideal client is?
I'll share.
Great.
So the three of mine were that made me relatable is or are foodie that like I'm a local foodie.
Yeah.
Going on like the little date night. So I usually share wherever we go, Friday or Saturday. And then I'm really into weightlifting. And
Mm.
so my ideal client, one of them is like first time home buyers without kids, kind of in my same position, but like want a family. And so these
Mhm.
are the same, kind of things that they typically do.
That is perfect. I love it. Does anyone else want to share?
I can share.
Perfect.
Can you guys hear me? All right, I'm using iPad. I don't know where to look, but anyway. So my ideal client will be probably like rock climber like me, tennis player like me, love food, love drink wine, tequila, rum, beer, and also if they are like bilingual or like have an international background, that would be a huge plus because I think they can totally relate to people. And actually picking up the client at the Total Wine the other day, so that's great because I already know we have something in common.
No, I love it. And what I think you both hit on is like, and it's something that I said too, is your ideal client is someone who's relatable to you. And I think that that is what's going to help make the positive experience for everyone as you go through it.
Yes, definitely. And I feel more comfortable actually. Like when you meet a client, unless they're like a friend or somebody, you're
Mhm.
like a total stranger. And I
Yep.
do have a little bit of stranger danger. Like I don't know what kind of people they are. But if you interact like this specific client, for example, I picked up at the Total Wine, I was nervous because they're total stranger. But at the same
Mhm.
time, at least I'm like, okay, I know I can talk about wine with them besides real estate. So that reduced my anxiety.
Absolutely. Perfect. So our next section is going to be like planning content that aligns with who our brand is and like who our ideal client is. And as you can hopefully see, who you are does usually somewhat correlate with who your ideal client is. I know in some cases it doesn't necessarily, and that is totally fine, but you can still pick things that make you who you are that would be relatable to that ideal client. So I will start out with, I do not do all of my social media myself. I use Modern Agent Social Club and Chelsea Peterson to help at least come up with content or come up with overall concepts, or they have tons of free guides. So if anyone ever wants to learn more about them, feel free to. I highly recommend following them on social media. They do a good job of showing you how to infuse your brand into your content without you sitting there trying to brainstorm from the beginning. I do have a QR code on here. I do get compensated if you sign up, but I think if you use my link, I need to double check. I think you get your first month free through using my code, and it makes the doors always open instead of just throughout the year whenever they decide to. But I think they're a great resource, and honestly, they're where I learned a whole lot of information from. Next, I like to talk about like the different platforms of social media. I think, at least in my opinion, you should sort of approach them differently. So, first of all, you do not need to do every single platform. pick the platforms where that ideal client is and like where you feel the most comfortable. For me, that is Instagram. Do I still have a Facebook business page? I do. But I approach my Facebook business page as like my front yard. The grass is cut, it looks good, it looks presentable. So I'm posting just sold, under contract. And honestly, I probably haven't updated my Facebook page in a while, so should probably do that as I'm telling you guys to. But it's where I'll share like client reviews if I have them. Basically, my Facebook is my front of house saying, hey, I do sell real estate. It's here if people search for me. Now, my Instagram or like whatever platform you prefer or where your ideal client is, to me, it's like a cocktail party. I will never show up to a cocktail party and jump on the table and shout, I sell real estate. Like, who wants to buy or sell? Like, that's not what you do at cocktail parties. You're going to sit there and engage with people and have conversations. 9 times out of 10, I'd be willing to bet if you meet someone, they're going to ask you what you do for a living. So like real estate might come up, and it probably will come up. But at the same point, you want to be telling about yourself and having those conversations and not just screaming down someone's throat that this is what you do. So that's sort of my approach to both of them. Like I said, I might say stuff that you don't necessarily agree with, and that is okay because algorithms and social media are constantly changing. These are just my opinions. So, how can we infuse your brand into your social media content? For me, you can include it in like words in your caption. So, using like my brand, for example, I can say, like, all right, pop the cork, like, get ready for this, grab your favorite coffee, let's sit down and chat, like could be a starting point. Colors that you wear or the overall style that you show up in. Every single listing shoot or video shoot or photo shoot that I do, I'm going to be in colors that align with like my brand. I'm not the agent to show up in high heels and like a business suit. So I'm not going to show up that way on my social media platform. So picking on Brian, like Brian wouldn't show up in a suit. He's probably going to be wearing a choice shirt of some sort and probably some khaki shorts. There you go. Which maybe you're wearing pants today because it's cold instead of shorts, but you never know. Oh, there we go. We got pants on today. But just showing up like in a style that or in a vibe that is going to be relatable to your brand, using like props in your photos. So say for instance, I'm doing like a video shoot. Well, maybe I have a Starbucks coffee in my hand, or maybe like, how can I relate it back to that? Title of like a social media series or the title of your newsletter. My newsletter is called Real Estate Uncorked. And I try to infuse different things that relate back to my brand in the overall messaging. So the key thing is just to like try and think outside the box. So we're going to do another little countdown. So I just want you to start to brainstorm, like, how can you infuse your brand into like the content that you're doing? So you could do it in props. You could do it in the verbiage that you're using. So take a little bit of time and think through that. And then if anyone's open, we can have you share at the end. I really should have music playing. We'll see. Yeah, I can't pull up Spotify that quick. Sorry. Brian's just going to dance for you in the silence. And Allison, there we go. Perfect. Does anyone want to share how they plan to incorporate like their brand into their content? Okay, we will move on. Oh, there you go.
Hey, I look atrocious today. Okay, so the name of my brand is Bucket List Lifestyles,
Okay.
which I have owned for a long time, and I've just never done enough with it because
Mhm.
that can incorporate more than just real estate, and I really need help reining in the bear. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because once my brain gets thinking, I think so far out the box, I need someone to help me rein it back in a little bit. So I'm just trying to think of ways to just phrases for bucket list lifestyles other than what home is on your bucket list or what property, you know? So,
I think you can do it multiple ways because it could be, I mean, I tell all of my clients, like, you don't want to be house poor because you want to be able to focus on the lifestyle outside of it. And so I think you
right.
could infuse different bucket list lifestyle hacks, like, um, here's some steps to get an investment property or get a beach vacation home. I mean, I feel like that
Hmm.
might be some bucket list items. Or I'm even like, I mean, maybe on someone's bucket list is like a date night every week or just different things that make up their life. So I think not necessarily it's a huge concept what a bucket list is. And
Hmm.
to every single person it means something different. So I think narrowing it down, what does it mean to you? And what is your bucket list? And how can you infuse that too?
Yeah, and that's some of the content I've created is it's just, a first time buyer has like a small condo or a townhome, on their bucket list. And you've got investors, you've got, second home, third home, people that want to start like Airbnb businesses, there's all sorts of things that it can encompass. So
Yeah.
that's when I need help
When I
reining it in.
One idea that just popped into my head is every single closing gift that I would do would be like in a bucket. I don't know.
Okay, because I've been doing it in a nice basket because of the way the things that I do buy for them, it's
Yeah.
all branded to the house itself, with the house laser printed on it and everything like the cutting
Yeah.
board, the tray, the cocktail glasses, whatever I buy them. So that's a good idea to put it in a bucket.
Yeah. I don't know. Just
Hadn't thought
something.
about it, Taylor. Thank you.
Of course. Anyone else want to share? Perfect. Alrighty.
Well, I have a
So,
question, but it's
oh,
not
yes,
really
ma'am.
related to that. It's related to one of the past slides. Is
Okay.
about planning your content. So this is something that I sort of have on my, well, I do have it on my business plan for 2025 is to
Mhm.
be more consistent.
Mhm.
That's my biggest issue. I don't like social media. I only do it because I sort of have to.
Yep.
So, but I'm starting to understand the value of being able to plan your content. And I know that you're
Yep.
really good at that. So if someone was just wanting to start out and obviously maybe not go quite to the extent you do,
Mhm.
do you suggest having something consistently coming out on a Tuesday or having something consistently coming out once a week or twice a
Yep.
month?
Hold on to this question. I'm going to come back to it,
Okay.
but I promise I will address it.
Okay.
But that's perfect. So we're very much in line. So like Brian mentioned, I love brand photography. I love getting into it, but ultimately there's a cost that comes with brand photography. So I just want to talk through like some different options that you could do because obviously social media is showing up via photo, video, and different content avenues there. So to start out on like the free side of things, find a friend, do self timer on your iPhone or Android, whatever type of phone you have. There's websites like Unsplash for stock photos. Like I said, I'm in Modern Agent Social Club. They've got their own stock photos. And like something to not be scared of. I do try and stay with like vacant staged homes, but you can reach out to the listing agent and ask them if you can go film content in their home. I usually tell them like, I'll tag you in it. I'll tag if it's a builder's property, I'll tag the builder in it. And I mean, it's bonus points if you use a fellow choice agent's home because ultimately your goal is to help them find a buyer. So by sharing different key aspects of this home, you could also be helping them find a buyer or helping you find a buyer to work with to get the home listed. So those are just some like free ways. basically the next tier up, they've got some inexpensive like ring lights, phone stands, or things like that that you can go and set up in properties and like take your own photos. I do have like an Amazon shopping list that's got some various props and things that I use, which I can send to you guys if you want that. The next level up is to purchase some more advanced equipment to capture photo or video footage. I want to say it's called like a gimbal. Not there's so many different levels of it. There's ones that you can just put your phone in and use. And then Ashley has a super cool one that I'm obsessed with. But there's different levels there where you can like set it up and it can literally follow you around, not like follow you through, but it can turn and pivot. So there's different things along those lines. You can split a brand photo shoot with other people. Choice, I hope they continue with it because I love it. They do a brand photo shoot day, or you can book like a mini photo shoot with a photographer. Then you can book like a more curated brand photographer for like individual shoots or like a more detailed campaign. And as you just keep like working out the price point, there are stylists that you can hire that can help you pick out attire. And they can help you stay on brand, hit the vibe that you're looking for. One of my friends is a stylist and she goes to TJ Maxx and gets all of my stuff for photo shoots. And then ultimately you can hire a brand photographer, videographer to just overall help you enhance your content and come up with strategies like planning and all of that stuff. Ultimately, that does cost quite a bit of money, but I use different parts of these throughout my business day in and day out. I do try and do a big shoot about once or twice a year, just to keep getting more content. But ultimately, you just need to do like what makes sense for you, and you can start out and just upgrade as you do, or just stay wherever you're comfortable with. So with that, we have a special offer for those of you that are on here. The duo here, Serena and Kristen, they're two of my close friends. They help do the choice shoot every year. If you want to follow Studio Array and at Styled by Serena, they have put together 2 packages for you. So these packages are linked in the QR code at the top. They've put together 2 things. If you do the smaller of the packages, they've given you 50% off, or not 50% off, $50 off. If you do the larger of the packages, they've given you $100 off. But I'm obsessed with them. Serena has come and cleaned out my closet of what doesn't look good on like my body shape. And she's also gone shopping. She's told me what colors I need to do or stick away from. Super talented ladies, and they've helped me and my business grow and just give me that confidence when it comes to, I guess, running my business and trying to stay on brand with all things that I do. So highly recommend them. If you don't see a package on here that works for you, reach out to them. They are happy to put together curated packages that make the most sense for you and your business. All right, that's enough on photos. So using Instagram to highlight your brand. With this, we're just going to dive a little bit into social. Algorithms are constantly changing. This page is constantly changing. I was updating it yesterday and I realized how old it was because they no longer do guides on Instagram. And I think that's been gone for about a year or so now. But what I want you to think about is like, how can you infuse your brand into these aspects on your profile? So, well, first things first, if you're not set up as a creator on Instagram, I highly recommend being a creator. Yes, there is a business account. The creator gets all the same things the business account does, so you can check analytics and statistics, but you also get more music and different templates and things like that. So think about your username as being like your website URL. I would highly recommend basically never changing it because it's gonna eliminate like people searches and things like that. Your profile picture, try and like keep it consistent. What's on your business cards if you have them? What's in your email signature? What's on your Facebook page? Like try and pick one photo that's going to be consistent across like any platform that you use. That way people are seeing the same thing and they're not like, oh, she's in this shirt, in this one, because then when they just see a quick glimpse, their brain is associating it with you. I highly recommend having an active story at like pretty much all times. I try and post 4 stories a day. Does that happen every time? No, it doesn't. But that's ultimately my goal, to just keep something constantly in rotation with stories going deactive after 24 hours. Your name is basically like a Google search. So I try and put my name and then like what I'm doing. When people message you, this is also what they're seeing. So if you just have like Raleigh Realtor as your name, then when people click on it, they might not have any clue who they're actually messaging. So highly recommend putting your name at some place on there. Category, I set my category up as being a real estate agent because I don't want to be like undercover. I want people to know what I'm doing. And then your bio, try and come up with something that tells people like what they can expect from your page. So I, like I said, would rather deal with like move up and buy sell clients. So I've tried to focus more on I'm your listing and move up home bestie. And then I've got links to free guides and other things. Your page highlights, highly recommend having at least 5 of them so they fill up the whole screen there. And those are your stories that you can save if you want people to come back to them. And then this just shows that this is your grid. You have reels or videos, and then the tagged images. So Allison, we are going to get to your question on planning your content. So hopefully what I go over is going to like help simplify this. So the question is like, do you need to post daily? No, you do not. You need to figure out what you're going to be most consistent with. I've not done the best job of it recently, but my ultimate goal is to post 3 to 4 times a week. So if you're going to be consistent with posting once a week, that is totally fine. Pick the day and like keep consistent at it. Because what you don't want to do is post 5 days one week and then skip 3 weeks and then post like twice. And then, so like try to find something that you can stay consistent in throughout the year. And if you miss a post or do something, like it doesn't have to be perfect. So like don't beat yourself up over it. If you miss a Tuesday that you're going for, post on Wednesday and then try and pick it back up where you were. So just try not to overthink of it. Like showing up is better than not showing up. Then I try to break up my content by day. So like I said, I am attempting to post 3 to 4 times a week. So I've broken up my content. On Monday, my game plan is to post buyer or seller tips. I'm focused more on sellers. So right now, my Mondays, I try and post my seller tips. Whether I have a free guide to promote, I have a staging tip, something like that, that's going to go in my Monday post. So by having that content pillar, then it helps me like, okay, what questions are people asking? What are different things that I can post? And then when it comes to Wednesday, okay, these are my about me, their market stats. If I had a closing that week, maybe I post it this day. It's just sort of more miscellaneous, but trying to focus on like who I am and what I bring to the table is like my Wednesday post. Thursday, I am attempting to do a podcast. It did not come out today like planned. That's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. But like Thursdays are my day that I share my Tailored Talks podcast. And then Friday, I am doing like local spotlights. In an ideal, perfect world, I would never leave Nightdale. I would stay in Nightdale Station and just sell in my little community, because I really don't want to drive an hour to help a client. I will, of course, do that, but my ideal niche would be like Nightdale clients. So on Fridays, I'm going to share everything local, whether that's an active listing that I've asked the agent if I can video tour, or highlighting like one of my favorite places. So next, we're going to sort of talk about like how I break that down and infuse like your content into it. Okay. So when it comes to buyer and seller tips, then you want to figure out like, how can I infuse my brand into these buyer and seller tips? First, like, be thinking about what are constant questions or what are tips that I have for people. So then with that list of, okay, today I'm going to do a staging tip. Today I'm going to do a how to prep your home for the market tip. Okay, so what can I do within these? Well, I can start my caption with grab your favorite coffee, like let's chat. You can talk about how to infuse your lifestyle into a listing, like this screened-in porch is perfect for your morning cup of coffee. I love reality TV. Okay, maybe I have a home tour and I toured 3 homes in my neighborhood. Then my caption could be like, which home would you give your final rose to? Like, try and think about different ways that you can infuse who you are into your content. And the great thing about it, our industry is perfect for content. People love looking at homes. There's literally a TV channel designed around homes. So I have literally my dogs sitting right here beside me. So if I was looking for the perfect home for my dogs, the first thing I would look for is it fenced in? Well, like, I can make a reel out of that. Okay. I can talk about staging tips while I'm walking through the aisles of Target. I can give a home buyer tip while the camera is sitting there and I'm making my coffee in the morning. Like, how can you infuse your brand into these areas of content that hopefully will make you relatable? So similarly, for local spotlights. Okay, favorite place to grab coffee with clients. Here's some of my favorite dog parks and favorite things to do with my dogs. Date night spots in Nightdale. Leading up to Valentine's Day, here's where like I would recommend going. You could even book reservations at a few places and do like giveaways for those reservations. Home tours in your local market, have a cup of coffee in hand, a day in the life of a Nightdale realtor to infuse like your brand throughout it. So a day in my life would be grabbing coffee, checking my email, taking my dogs for a, we won't say a WALK because we don't need to get that excitement this morning. But then it could be like highlighting local festivities. How could you could do like, here's some family friendly events, or here's some events that you can take your dog to that are coming up. So you can just think of different ways to really infuse your brand into what you're doing. And then that way you're attracting your ideal client too in that, because like my ideal client hopefully likes coffee and dogs and things like that. So at some point they're going to be like watching it. So got another countdown. So I want you to try and brainstorm like, what would your pillars be? How many posts a week could you commit to? Like, try and think of something like that, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 5. I would recommend not doing 7. That is very daunting. And honestly, I take Sundays off to be with my family, so I don't even post on Sundays. And it lets your like algorithm refresh by not having anything one day a week and letting your stories go silent. So highly recommend that. But I want to give you some time to sort of think through that. And then if you're open to sharing, we'll regroup in 30 seconds. And yeah, sorry. Eventually, maybe next time I do this presentation, I'll have music. could just be thinking about like what content you could share and how you could incorporate yourself into that. Does anyone want to share anything?
I try to post a lot, and then I look at like the grid, and I'm like, I'm bored, right? Because I'm just trying to do stuff. So I
Mhm.
like that you're telling us obviously to be intentional,
Yep.
and it's not quantity, it's quality coming back to us, you know.
Yes.
I currently do market stats every Monday,
Yep.
but I like the idea of, okay, not doing so much work there, Kitsy. And, you know, I love to bake, and I'm sure my husband will love me baking more and showing tips or whatever. Or like you say, when I tour a house on Thursdays, right? Talk about the kitchen, talk about the oven, talk about the island, I don't know, whatever, you know. And
Exactly.
I'm a dog mom too, so I love the idea of the fence. So,
Yay.
yeah.
I'm so glad. Yes. And I haven't ever done it, but my dream content that I'm trying to get my videographer on board with, Lamarca has cocktail like ideas on their website. So I want to make the cocktails while talking about real estate advice. So if anyone wants to come over and be a part of that, let me know.
I
But
will
that would
be a
be so much
tester.
fun. Perfect. I'll test all of the baked goods for sure. But yes, I think that that's perfect. And yeah, just being intentional with it. And I think having like a call to action or having a reason for someone to comment in your caption is a key thing. So like with my buyer and seller tips, I try to relate it back to a guide if possible that I have through like Modern Agent Social Club. But I just think like having a reason for them to comment or like, what's your favorite part of this house? And being there to engage, because the best part about social media is like having that conversation. So, yay. Thank you for sharing. So, we will head into authentic branding and client experience. So, what I want you to think about is like breaking down the process. So, I'll say most real estate transactions, there's a definitive like start of the process and end of the process. So I broke it down here somewhat. Obviously, there's like a lot more ins and outs, but basically, from client introduction to closing day are typically like your start and finish. So, what are ways that we can infuse your brand and who you are into that overall client experience? And please keep in mind, you do not have to have like something to infuse your brand for each step of the process. Try and just think of different memorable things that you could do. So for me, I call my consultations coffee and consultations. And either we meet at a coffee shop or I ask them what their coffee order is, and I meet them at the office and I bring coffee. We've now sort of adapted it into, we have a client intake form that everyone fills out before we even meet for their consultation. And one of our questions, actually two of our questions on there are, what's your coffee order or what's your Starbucks order? And what is your favorite drink to celebrate with? Because not everyone likes La Marca Prosecco like I do. So I want to try and tailor my experience to who they are when we're going to do home tours or sometimes like listing prep or doing their staging appointment. Maybe I'll bring their coffee order. I don't do it every time. It's not like a guaranteed thing. If it's like first thing in the morning, yeah, I'll probably bring it. If it's in the afternoon, chances are I won't. Then closing day are sort of my big days as it comes to like relating to my brand. We're bringing their coffee order for the final walkthrough. They get a curated Target basket of items for their home that's tailored to who they are, but it's also from Target or local shops. It sort of relates back to our brand. And then we are spraying champagne. After we wrap up the final walkthrough, we take photos and have clients spray champagne everywhere. They make for really cool photos. And then down the road at the holiday time, we turn that photo into a Christmas ornament so they can commemorate their first year in their new home. Oh, and then when I ask for client reviews, back to my Bachelor spinoff, we call our client reviews client tell-alls, like the men tell all or the women tell all, just to sort of relate it back in. I don't know if anyone has figured that out, but I think it's fun. So it's more fun for me. So that's truly, I mean, all that matters in the end is doing stuff that you enjoy. So I want you, we're gonna do another 30-second countdown. Hopefully those are like helpful and you're trying to think things through on the spot, but try and think like, how can you infuse your brand and who you are into that overall client transaction process? There we go. And once again, no music, but it's okay. And feel free if anyone has ideas and wants to share, we can chime in and talk through it too.
How about confetti? I love confetti, but
Yeah.
I don't want to do confetti at their new house and now have a confetti mess.
Yes.
So do you have a suggestion for that?
Yeah, so I've done confetti a few times. So we've done, one client was really insistent on, they brought their own confetti and they were fine doing it in their own home. So some people may be fine with it. But then we've also done confetti outside. There's like natural confetti that's like degrades. And so then as long as your clients are fine with it, I have gone through and picked up confetti on the front lawn before. But then someone told me, and I've never taken the time to do it, they've taken leaves and like a hole puncher and just made their own confetti that's not gonna look crazy in the grass. That's a lot of work in my eyes. But if you're open to do it, but I'm sure there's places like you can buy similar products that like aren't gonna make a huge mess. And yeah, I would probably still do it. It's fun. It's great photos. I would just make sure it's gonna go into the yard and be fine.
Taylor, when do you like to do the client closings? Do you like to do them at the final walkthrough, after the closing, after like the sit down with the lawyer? I always struggle with finding the best time that doesn't feel awkward.
Yeah, so we always like make the whole day, like of closing day, I feel like a thing. So we send an email about 1 week prior to closing that's like reiterating, what coffee order do you want? We're going to take photos at the final walkthrough. So we show up about an hour before actual closing. We give them their coffee there. We have our closing basket set up. And so we tell them about like what's in it. We have a closing binder that we give out. We tour the home, then we spray photos, spray champagne there, because hopefully at the final walkthrough, you're going to know whether or not you're going to close. So we're kind of like celebrating it at that point. We've had a few clients push back and say, we don't want to take photos until after it's recorded, which is totally fine. But by sending that email like a week in advance, telling them our plans, it gives them the opportunity to speak up and say something if it doesn't work out. And honestly, if the transaction's going crazy, then like we're just going to pivot anyways and say, okay, we'll come back like a week after closing once like the movers have done some stuff, and then we can take photos out front.
Okay. And have you had any user error issues with the champagne? Do you give them a like, is it self-explanatory? Like
No, we sit there. So I use Andre to spray because we're going to save money because it's going to be all over the grass anyway. So they have like the pop twist off tops. So I open them and hand them to them. So basically, as I'm handing them to them, I'm giving them instructions, and it's like, hey, you're going to put your thumb over it like a water hose. The second you start shaking, it's going to spray. If you spray up, it's coming down on your head. If you spray directly out, it's going to spray me. Like I want you, I back up as I'm telling them, but I'm like, please aim above my head, because then it's going to make beautiful photos like spraying up and coming down. and 9 times out of 10, it's not going to hit me.
Love that.
Yeah, so we
Okay.
definitely are like, don't be surprised, please smile, like going through how to spray
Perfect.
it.
That helps a lot. Thank you so much.
Of course. Anyone?
Taylor, I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, so if you spray champagne or bubbles in front of the house at the final walkthrough, do you usually ask sellers permission to do that? Because technically it's still their seller's home.
Nope, I don't. Maybe I should. I don't at that. But we're doing it right as we're heading to closing. And we'll have them stand like on the sidewalk to where it's in the grass. I really don't want like their sidewalk to be sticky. And we will tell them like maybe hose it down once you get like settled in, or like hopefully it's gonna rain tomorrow. But no sellers have ever had like issues, knock on wood, with it. But yeah.
Sounds good.
So next we'll sort of start wrapping up with staying true to your brand. I think the key thing with this is like you need to be 100% authentically you. There are so many transactions that happen across the triangle, across the state, that like there is room for everyone to do business. I don't remember how many transactions Bill said were like in the Raleigh market this past year, but I can guarantee you not one agent did all of them. It was split. So if you're attracting the right people, then like you're attracting the people who you're supposed to work with. And I think realizing you're not the right fit for everyone, and that's okay. Like the sooner you can realize that, the better. They do make referrals for a reason. So like if you're spreading yourself too thin, working with people who aren't the right fit, then you're doing yourself and that client a disservice. So I think by showcasing who you are, you're more naturally going to attract the right people. It's going to make the process easier on you and easier on them. And then if someone is difficult, send them to someone else that they might be a better fit with. It's just going to make life so much better. Because the ultimate goal with your brand is for people to think about you outside of when it's time to buy and sell a home. So by sharing things that make you relatable, they're going to think about you more often. So the chances of them remembering you when it comes time to buy or sell increases. So like I get text messages when LaMarca is on sale at different stores. So people are thinking about me. Or I did one class to a group of lenders probably a few years ago, and I got an email like 2 days later from someone who actually left early, and she was like, I got a bottle of LaMarca as a closing gift and like instantly thought of you. And so just like different ways that people can think about you, like that's your ultimate goal, because it's all about building relationships and having conversations and taking what you're doing off of social media so that it can be in your business. There are tons of tools out there that help make infusing your brand so much easier. Canva, for one thing, if you pay for Canva Pro, highly recommend it. It just saves my life so much. You can upload your logos and your fonts and your colors and brand photos directly into Canva to make them easier to pull from when it comes to like making content or newsletters or postcards or anything like that. That way it's consistent. In your phone, you can create albums that literally have like photos that you can use and plug and play at different points in times. And then I always have a branding folder that's got like logos with transparent backgrounds or things like that that I can add to my stories to just make everything more consistent. I use Flowdesk for email marketing because once again, I can sort of infuse my brand there so it's a consistent look throughout everything. And don't be scared of ChatGPT. They can learn your brand, and you can literally type in, help me write a caption on Instagram infusing my brand, like in regards to seller tips or something like that. Like use these resources to help save you time and energy. For sure. Then I have homework for you. You don't have to do it, but I just thought it was fun. I want you to revamp one part of your like business branding, whether it's your Instagram bio, website, your client welcome packet. Like take the time, like how can you infuse your brand into like one piece of marketing? Um, Feel free to tag me if you do it, if you share on Instagram, because I would love to see it. Or you can email me or text me. There's my information. But yay, you survived. So does anyone have any questions?
So the story or the question that I put in the chat is about stories.
Sorry. Hold on.
So
I gotta-
it says, because I have sort of tested the waters on this a little bit. And it's
Yep.
interesting when you are doing more and more stories, the view count gets higher and higher for each one, right? And I am not consistent at this at all. So this was a very
Yeah.
easy test for me.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I have been trying to do more stories, but do they all have to be real estate related? Like my Instagram is
Nope.
much more business focused than my Facebook is.
Yeah.
And so, and I know that you can post both of the stories at the same time on both platforms.
Yeah.
But I always feel like my Instagram should be more about real estate, where Facebook is about my personal and business.
So, and like, if most of your clients are on Facebook, then absolutely like keep infusing yourself. I think showcasing both like your personal life and real estate is important. I mean, if people know all of your landscape, beauty, well, like everything that you do there, I mean, that's stuff that can also like help with real estate. Or even, I mean, I know you love a good glass of bourbon. So, like, you could infuse that. I mean, obviously, some people might not relate to it. I do not like bourbon, but I will cheers you with my Prosecco any day. And I think you can do still and videos, like infusing both. I try and do like some face to camera. If I'm doing face to camera, I make sure I put like captions on because a lot of people scroll through without volume. And so that way they're at least still getting my message instead of just like, oh, not ready to listen, like continue on. So I think doing both of those and sharing on both, you could absolutely do that.
And then what about reels versus stories?
So I'm sort of torn and I'm trying to do a better job on this. There are so many I will post anything to my stories, anything and everything throughout the day that I think about. But I think you can reuse content. Like there's no point in recreating the wheel. So like I might post in my stories, here's what I did today. Well, then on Friday, maybe I use those clips and I make a day in the life of a realtor post. Like I think you can reuse them. And especially now, like reels don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have like perfectly curated content. So even if it's just little clips, I think you can use them and like repurpose them in multiple ways. Does that help answer your question? Okay, perfect. Any other
Anything
questions? I
else?
don't, oh, yes.
Any other questions before we wrap it up with Taylor? All right, awesome. If you think of things, reach out to Taylor. She's always happy to kind of give you some feedback there. She will share those links with us that she has in this. We'll get the recording out to you as well. As always, Taylor, this has been amazing. And I do hope that some of you will take the opportunity to do that homework. I just can envision a really cool post being about, hey, my new buyer guide, my new buyer presentation, my new listing marketing plan, and kind of like highlighting that on your own social media for your people to see, and talking about you can't wait to explore the home buying process with your next buying client or whatever it is. So I think there's some great opportunities there for you to pump yourself on social media. Make sure to tag Taylor on that.
Yes.
All right, very good. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and we'll talk to you all again soon. Thanks again, Taylor. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank